Welcome back to another episode of TVGP's Critical Misses. Last episode we talked about Too Fast, Too Furious. This time we're talking about The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, which, from my understanding, pretty much ever since it came out, apologies in advance too, I'm really sick. My understanding from when it came out was that it has been divisive, to say the least.
Yes. That's literally the best word to describe this movie is divisive, because some people love it and some people hate it. If memory serves, because all the big fans of this are the Banff cast of this series.
So we're in good company, probably.
Yes. If memory serves, 2 of them love it and 2 of them hate it. So that should give you an idea.
It is exactly split down the middle.
Yeah. I love this movie. I genuinely do. I truly adore this movie in all of its terribleness, and it's bad. I'm not going to sit here and say it's a good movie.
I have a feeling like that's why I'm going to like it, is because I like bad stuff that's kind of campy and kind of leans into it and kind of... Yeah. I feel like there's very rarely are there things that come out that I don't like because they're just flat out bad.
Yes.
There's usually some positive to be found in things that are, maybe they're not the best thing of all time. It's my impression that the 4th movie is just kind of out and out, not great.
It's
a rough
has its
time.
Moments.
Okay.
But it's not fantastic.
Right.
I mean, some quick things about this as well, because if we're going to start getting into that thing, thanks Marvel for starting this whole trend off, I think.
Right.
For this movie, there is no after credit scene, so you don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
I think that starts with 4. I think.
Okay.
Don't worry, Hobbs and Shaw has 3 of them.
Oh my God! Thank you, Marvel. So we're still in phase 1 of the Fast Saga. Yes,
phase 1, we're going to take this super duper seriously. And that's what this movie is. This movie does take it seriously. It's essentially, you've got to kind of look at this as a soft reboot of the series.
Okay. Because
the studio thought that Paul Walker was too old, which is why he is not cast in this movie.
Okay. I mean, sure,
really
Hollywood does weird stuff.
Yeah, which is funny when you consider, what comes after this movie.
Right.
Like, sure, whatever. He's too old. Let's go down that rabbit hole.
He's already like 25. God, what are we going to do?
Pretty sure Vin Diesel was filming something else at this time.
Okay. Triple X2.
No, because Triple X2 is Ice Cube, and that's State of the Union. Thank you very much.
Right. The return of Xander
is not until the 3rd movie again.
Oh my God.
I know too much about bad movies.
I was just thinking, boy, I don't have the Triple X trilogy on our Critical Misses list, but sounds like I need to add it.
I haven't seen the 2nd or the 3rd one. The first one is really, really dumb.
You're selling me.
My favorite line from that is "the things I'm going to do for my country," and I will not say nothing else other than that is my favorite line in the first Triple X movie, starring your favorite 90s people such as Tony Hawk and Dave Mirra.
Naturally.
In Triple X1. So yes, but yes, back to Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. Very little CG in this movie. Let's get that out the way first and foremost.
There we go.
There is a lot of drifting.
A
whole bunch of real drifting.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this to you because it's not, I'm assuming it's not something that you'd get or you might not catch it, but there is a race, a drifting race, one might say, in this movie. Shock of shocks.
Throughout Tokyo, possibly.
But there is a race, and knowing their audience, full credit for them, in what, like, they're doing a race through a parking lot, like a multi-story car park. And as they're drifting around one of the corners, it's just a static shot of them coming around this corner, and I think it pans a little bit as they go past. And as it pans, there is the Traino 86 drift car from Initial D. Parked on the corner. Just literally a little flash of that
quick
car.
wink Yeah.
It's literally the same car, decked out to look like that car. And
That's
it's a nice little wink to the camera as you go past it.
Right. I like that.
Oh, there is a lot to talk about with this movie in the second part, because they do some spectacular things in this movie. But that's obviously something to discuss next time we talk about this.
After we've seen the film. Yeah.
Yes.
I sort of don't have any other expectations going into this other than I'm expecting a lot of drifting. I'm expecting a lot of fish out of water stuff and a lot of
you'll get that almost immediately, and then you might giggle to yourself when you hear the word wabaki.
I don't know if I have any other expectations other than there's gonna be a whole bunch of really dope import cars.
Okay.
Technically not import cars, I guess.
True. Okay, let's see. Minor spoilers, this is the first appearance of Han.
Okay.
Han is probably one of the best characters in the Fast and the Furious franchise.
Is that the one that showed up at the end of the Fast 9 trailer and was like,
yes,
oh my
that's
God.
Han.
Gotcha. Okay. So fan favorite person.
Yes, fan favorite Han, because he is literally the best thing in this movie. Great. And the funny thing is, the whole backronym thing we talked about last week, where you take something and you make an acronym of it after it's already been established as an acronym first, and then you make something up to fit in with that. The back law that they force into this movie by tying it into later movies is fantastic. It's a bit like in the first movie, that one line where it's like, you have to choose your own family.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the framework for the whole Fast Saga.
Yeah, that's a great line that they later took to mean more because it was just happened to be there. They do so much of that in this movie. It's like, we are going to write these future movies and we're going to use Tokyo Drift under a microscope to build the lore further. And it's just like,
interesting.
Okay, sure,
the movie I would probably expect the least, because from looking outside in, this seems to be an outlier where it's a totally different area, it's a totally different cast, it doesn't seem related at all. So I'm interested to see how they kind of start tying all that stuff together.
I feel like at the time this was the death knell for the franchise. Like, this was it. Like, they put this out, it didn't do great, it didn't make a lot of money, it wasn't well regarded except for by psychos like me.
It didn't have anyone in it. Like, it was just a totally different movie.
And it felt like this was the end. And it was like, okay, that's fine. And then, a couple of years later, Fast and Furious comes out again. And it's just like, hold on.
Wait, you're doing it again? Wait a minute. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I genuinely like this movie. And if you go in with the lowest expectations you can have, you will probably end up walking away pleased.
And I'm mostly going into these movies just looking to have a fun time. It's not. Yes. This isn't the hottest films coming out of Cannes. This isn't the award-winning. This isn't going to win every Oscar every year, but they're fun movies. Like they're good popcorn movies.
Yes.
Yeah, like it's just a good. One might say, it's a good ride.
Oh, I hate you so much.
I shouldn't have done that.
See, now you're making yourself laugh, and now you know how I felt the past few weeks.
I know, it's so bad. All right, well, let's go watch the movie. We are back from watching the movie, the cinematic masterpiece that is Tokyo Drift, the divisive film that is Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. I have something to admit here at the beginning. After watching this film, I really loved it.
Yes.
I really, really, really loved it. This movie is like my entire brand of BS. Like, it's not a bad movie by any stretch of the imagination.
It's dumb.
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
And I think it kind of winks and nods a little bit. Like, it's not fully self-aware, but there are some scenes where it's like, this is kind of dumb, but whatever, let's have fun.
Yep.
I think this is the first movie... The first movie did this a little bit. Second movie threw this out completely, but this one finds a way to take a breath a little bit. Like, there were scenes in the first one where it's like, hey, we're having a cookout and everybody's just kind of sitting around shooting the poops. But this one, like, has a hell of an intro. And
yeah, literally, I have the thing here, which is my highlighted note because it's my main point with this movie. This is a slow movie, comparatively to 1 and 2.
Especially
there's a lot of exposition, and it takes its time. And like you said, like you were about to say, that intro
is really good. I only race for pink slips.
Against the home improvement older brother.
Yeah, and I really like...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Against the home improvement older brother while listening to Kid Rock.
Like, Bawa Taba showing up in the intro of this movie, like, playing the majority of the song and sort of looping it a little bit. It was really... It's sort of like, all right, it's still 2006. Okay, cool.
No, even that was too late for Kid Rock.
Well, yeah, but, like, the ethos of these films is sort of like... It's a little too late for this, but it's kind of a guilty pleasure, so this is our intro song.
Yes.
That was a hell of a set piece. Like, I think...
The construction site with the construction mansions in it.
Yeah, and I think if you want someone to... I think that's a good scene from the first 3 movies. That's a good scene to show someone, like, here's Fast and the Furious. There's not... Unlike 2, there isn't a whole lot of digital stuff. You can tell some of, like, when they're bumping each other, some of the, like, paint chips and stuff coming off the car were digital, but that's so minor that you can't... It's not like spinning and flipping and pew, pew, none of that stuff.
Yes, it's not the 2 cars racing side by side like Fast and the Furious 2 was.
Yeah, not like no hyperspeed going on.
Yes.
That whole scene is really great, and I like that you... very quickly, like, the scene of him in the hospital with the bloody teeth smiling at the girl is really great. And, like, that's all you kind of need to know about that kid is, like, he's kind of a dummy, but he's looking out to have fun and race, but he's kind of not a bad guy.
Yes.
And I like that it has that whole rapid intro, and then it's very much like, what are we going to do with you? And then...
the cut where it's him sitting in the police station, and it's not a crash zoom, but it's a very slow dolly zoom into his face, and then a very slow dolly zoom out of his face, and it transitions onto him on the airplane. Oh, that is a great shot.
Yeah, interesting. I like, though, that there's this fast action intro, and then very quickly he's on a plane and he finds his dad's house, and then it's this really great quiet scene of, this is where you live now, these are my rules, we're gonna have a little bit of heart to heart, but it's not Fast and Furious 2, that would have been like a 10-second scene of like, you're not my real dad, Jeff, and like then kicking out of the house. But
it also does a lot of exposition in this without ever actually saying anything, because the fact that the dad is wearing, number one, the dad has a lady of the night with him.
Yes. And he's wearing like a Navy sweatshirt.
And the fact that he's wearing a Navy t-shirt, it gives away immediately. It's like, okay, so he's based in the Navy, he's probably based in Tokyo for the US Navy. That's probably why him and his kid don't get along that well. It also explains a little bit of the relationship with the mother. Like, it says a lot in, like, just an item of clothing.
And he's not living...
really, really good.
And he's not living in a great place, but it's not that bad because he's not taking care of it. Like, and I kind of like that the movie could have focused so much on Sean being a fish out of water, and I'm glad they didn't focus too much on it, because it's very much, there's obviously language barrier, there's obviously like a social barrier, and things are different in Tokyo than they were where he was before.
I like the fact that he's given credit for being a quick learner.
Yes.
Like, several times throughout the course of the movie, he's given credit for being a very quick learner. And it's like, okay, he might not be doing perfect, but it does explain how he can loop in and settle in really well, because he, for all intents and purposes, he might be super intelligent, just kind of had a bit of a wrong childhood kind of thing.
Yeah, like he just made the wrong choices when he was coming up.
Yeah.
I gotta make a special mention to Bow Wow's car.
Literally, I have the whole car written down.
Yeah, because when it's like flipping through the car carousel.
Oh, really quick, sorry. Speaking about Sean, that's the guy's name.
Yeah.
The replacement for Paul Walker.
Yeah.
He's not a great actor. He's a decent actor, but he's not
fine.
great. I did make a note here, Wabaki, which I actually referenced in the first part of this show.
Yeah. That's a good scene too, because it shows, I think it further reinforces him being a quick learner, where he's like, he's not a dummy, he just doesn't know, and he's like, okay, gotcha, that's what this word means.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm picking it up. It's pretty good.
But yes, the car carousel.
Yeah, the car carousel coming through, and like him not saying like, nah, this cool car isn't mine. Why would I drive that cool car? And like the back trunk of the green car coming in, I was like, what is that? Did something hit him? And it just slowly spinning around and showing like the Hulk hand. It's like, oh my God, please don't tell me this is a Hulk car. And the front with like the tuft of hair at the top. And I was like,
yep.
All right, Tokyo Drift, you're doing all right. I 2 thumbs up.
Because that's why I love Bow Wow's not a racer. He's a wheeler dealer.
Yeah.
He's a money man. He's I got these American Snickers. Do you want some of these kind of thing? It's like he doesn't need a fast car.
Yep.
He needs a style car, and clearly he likes his Hulk.
Oh my God. Yeah. And one special note too, then the year that this came out is really important, 2006, because if you remember, the iPhone was launched in 2007. So everyone has these super high-powered, super fancy flip phones, which I think is...
And laptops that look like they were made in the 40s.
Yeah, and like I think that's a really funny thing, where it's like we're just like on the cusp of smartphone tech. So all these phones are super cool, but they're not like computers in your pocket like we have now.
That is the one thing in this movie that throws problems further down the line.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Is weirdly enough, Tokyo seems to have gone through a Renaissance tech phase based on when this is actually set in the timeline of the movies.
I see.
But as long as you can ignore that, you'll be fine.
Right.
That's literally the only thing.
What else? We run into, of course, he falls in love with like
the Australian.
Yeah, the only non-Japanese lady in his class.
Which, excellent. Okay, I don't know, we haven't run... Yes, he falls in love with her, and Lil Bow Wow takes him to the meetup. So the very first meetup, and he's like, what's drifting?
Right.
Which,
just like, come on, man.
For the record, by the way, my wife absolutely hates this movie.
Okay.
With a passion, she hates this movie.
Okay.
Because one of the reasons she states is because everyone calls him cowboy, and what does a cowboy do? They drift into town.
Okay. Sure. It's one of those like movie willfully blind things where it's like in 2006 probably most people had seen something relating to drifting.
Yes.
Sean definitely did. Like it might not have been his
He's a
scene.
street racer.
Yeah.
Come on, he definitely did.
Yeah, like it might not have been his scene, but he definitely knew like, oh, I'm a street racer, like a drag racer, but look at all this crazy stuff going on. It wouldn't have been like, what's drifting? How do you drift? It's just like, man.
And yeah, that in that first meetup, that's where he starts to make the moves on the only non-Japanese lady.
Yeah.
That's also where we meet Han.
Yes, Han.
And that's also where we meet DK.
DK?
How, as a villain, because you've seen 2 now, as a villain, what did you think of DK?
I think DK is pretty good. I think he has that sort of menace to him, but you can kind of see both sides. Like you can kind of see how he can like flash his baby blues and kind of smile and be like, yeah, that's how he gets the ladies. But then at the other side, it's like he pulls out a gun. It's like he's gonna kill you. He's gonna shoot you. Like you need to be careful of this dude.
They do an incredible job here because he is portrayed as the ultimate villain.
Yeah,
and he is for the whole of the movie, right until the end. He's the bad guy.
Yeah.
And it's only when Han's like, yeah, dude, he's just a wannabe.
Right.
It doesn't matter at the end of the day. He is literally just a wannabe.
Yeah.
And it's like, you cut the legs off your villain and done it so spectacularly because you're just about to introduce the other villain who's not even really a villain.
Right. Well, and I think he's such a great... I think makes Han a really great character too, because Han, everybody's afraid of DK, even Sean to like a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But then Han comes in, he's just like, whatever, man. I'm having some Cheetos, we're talking, my delivery's late, who cares? Whatever, I'm Han.
Yeah.
Just
then let's race.
Yeah.
It's really easy to be cocky when you don't have a car. and Han just tosses him his keys.
Yeah. It's Han's great. Han's really great.
Yes. Hanism is incredible. But I mean, do we want to talk about the semi-burgeoning romance story between the Australian and the cowboy?
It's not 100% believable, because I feel like they don't have a ton of time together. Like, they have that one nighttime race where there's like, not a race, but like a convoy where there's like 15 cars drifting and they're talking and she's shifting.
The drift dancing.
Yeah, the drift dancing. And it's like, that's a fine scene. Like, I think for me, it really well, it shows really well that she knows how to race and she knows how to drift, because she's just doing it while she's talking and like talking about her backstory and stuff. But it, as like a romance scene, as like a dance scene, it's not that great.
Yeah, like, how come you never see me? How come I never see you drift? Because you never ask me. Is yeah. Okay, that's good. Yeah. Oh, by the way, her katakana for her name on that chat program is actually Drift Girl.
That's great.
Just so you know.
That's great.
And he's Bama Boy.
So dumb. I did see the Initial D drift car during one of the races, because it's there for like a second and a half. The back end
of it, and then you see it, the whole thing as the camera pans.
And it's really great where it's like, we know the influence, like this is the drift car, and we're going to pay a little bit of an homage to it.
Yeah.
God, what else? There's so much in this. Oh, God.
Yeah, as a quick note, we do have a Nos scene. It's only one, but we have a Nos scene, which is the highway, when he wrecks Han's car and then Han picks him up from school the next day or whatever. It is like, now you're my driver. Now, anytime I call, I don't care what's going on. It might be once a month. It might be once an hour. You're driving for me now.
You show up.
And then they're driving down the highway and the street racer comes past and he hits the nose button and we do get a little hyperspeed scene.
A little
only little one.
Yeah, when they pass by the cops and they're like, yeah, we're going too fast for the cops. They're not going to chase us. It's like, oh,
yes.
Okay,
I do love the fact that it's a little bit later, but they do the origins of drifting, total 100% honesty that nobody believes is real, which is like, yeah, they did it in the mountains. That's how they learned.
Yep.
It's like proper drift lore that is actually true that nobody knows.
Yeah. I really like the casting of Sonny Chiba as the DK's dad / the Yakuza guy.
It's the uncle.
His uncle. Like, that's a really good casting. That Sonny Chiba's got a lot of chops for like 50-something years.
Yep.
And it's one of those things where it's like, oh man, like you got a proper real actor for this role, and he, as soon as he shows up, you're like, oh boy, that's the boss. That's the boss guy. Oh no.
Yeah. And that suit, man, he carries that suit so well.
Yeah, he plays that role really well.
Yes. What did you think of the second in command, the spitty fella who constantly spits?
Yeah, he's the real fighty guy where it's just like, I'm here to fight. I want to fight. Like somebody that would just bite you in a fight, probably. He was pretty good.
His best moment is when he loses the first race against Sean, because Sean gets into drifting, and we get the whole training montage,
which is pretty good.
I adore, especially the two old men fishing who are like, you call that drifting?
Yep, really good.
Yeah, like that's solid, and I love his reaction when he loses that first race.
Yeah,
and he's like losing his mind, and Han wins a car from DK from it, which is great.
Yep.
Oh wow, this movie is so much in it.
It's like an hour and 45 minutes, and it is surprisingly packed. But like you said, it takes its time.
How slow it takes.
Yeah, like it really isn't going to like Too Fast, Too Furious rapid fire through a bunch of stuff. Like that, it really is kind of taking its time and trying to be a proper movie. And I think I mean, it is largely successful. There's some stuff where it's sort of like, all right, yeah, we're kind of like the drift dance, like you'd mentioned, where it's sort of like, probably could have been a better way to do this, but I get what you're going for.
Yeah. What did you think of the driving overall? Like the fact that they did a lot of that stuff physically, and as far as I know, they did that drift spin up the thing. They
like
did
that car park thing where it's
real.
like an inch on each. That was the coolest. Where he has like very little on each side, and he's just drifting all the way up that ramp. Like, God, that's so cool. I have such a soft spot for drifting, and I think this movie, I think it showed it really well.
It makes it cool.
Yeah, like
it makes it so cool.
And you can tell they did a lot of that stuff practically. Like you can tell when Fast and the Furious does the CG stuff.
Oh boy, do I have the next movie to show you.
Oh no.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the biggest selling points of this movie is there's a lot of drifting, and a lot of it, if not 95% of it, is legitimate. And I think that makes it way more so believable. Amazing.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of the movie. Now it's time to talk about the false ending and then the ending. Okay. Because there is a false ending in here.
Okay.
Which is, obviously, we don't talk about it wholly, but the whole plot where DK and the girl and blah, 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 blah. Then the Tokyo City drift showdown.
The Shibuya drifting through the...
Yes. That whole chase through the city is incredible. Yeah. Like, the funny thing is a lot of people will say, well, why don't they just go in a straight line? It's like, look at them. The second they put power down, the back end is coming out because these are cars designed to drift.
Yeah, they're not racing cars. They're drifting cars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like going through the tunnel, you get like bad guy number 1 bad guy number 2, he gets into the big accident, and you've got DK in his in his car doing like the drifting gunny spinny stuff like a a John Woo movie.
Yep.
Oh, I forgot. Why do we drift? Oh, why do we drift? The two of Han's best scenes. Why doesn't Han race DK? Because he doesn't want to. He doesn't care about it.
Yeah.
And then he does the courting ritual of the drifter, where he just drifts around those women at the crossing.
Yeah, I forgot about
and then
that.
Stops.
I forgot about that.
And you also get Han's sad speech, which I actually made a note of.
I really like that. This is my Mexico speech.
Yes.
I really liked that.
Like, what's a car to know what a man's worth is? It's like, what is a man?
Right.
But a bag of blood and full of secrets or whatever that line is. But Han does this really good thing where he is sad throughout the entirety of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell he's having fun, but he's sad.
Yeah.
And you don't know why. But the arc he rolls for this entire thing is so good because it's just like, he is the best character in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
Han is the best, and then that whole discussion with Sean was like, look, at the end of the day, I don't need money. I do this stuff for fun.
Yeah, I just like racing, man.
It's like, and I give you a car, and yeah, you trash that car, but now I know what you're worth as a human.
Right, like now I can trust you.
Yeah, and like you said, like the fact that he refers to Tokyo as his Mexico, it's just like,
well, and
French kisses all the way around.
I like that Tokyo Drift continually pushes back on Sean's question of where did you come from, and everybody keeps answering like, it doesn't matter, I don't care, like I'm here in Tokyo, I love racing, this is what we're doing, like it doesn't matter where any of us came from or what we did, like we're part of this little family of racers. Like, and I like that they push back on that, because there's because the audience will be asking, who's this, where they from, who's that, right, what's her
from?
accent, like where did they come from?
He's essentially the audience too.
Yeah.
And his whole thing is like, where are you from? And everybody's just like, dude.
Even the Australian girl was like, I'm from here, I live here, this is where I'm from. Like, yeah,
it's so good. But yes, the city showdown is incredible. The drift through the streets, and like you said, that crossing drift. There's a lot of CG people in that shot, but I don't care. That's really cool anyway.
And I don't 100% agree with like the angelic choir sound, like when they're drifting through like the Shibuya crossing. Number one, super cool to see them drifting through Shibuya Crossing. That's dope. Seeing the crowd part at like the last minute, not super believable, still looks super dope.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, I do love the fact that all the other Fast and Furious movies have a lot of people sitting backwards in their chairs because of the acceleration.
Yep.
This has got a lot of people sitting sideways in their chairs.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people like moving from one side to the other, like, whoa.
Yeah, it's so many people sitting sideways, but yeah, you get the whole city showdown, and then it happens. The car crash in the city showdown.
God, like just a heartbreaking. You knew something had.
He stops.
Yeah,
because he's actually doing fine, and then DK catches up with Sean and starts giving Sean crap, and then Han slows down to get DK's attention to save Sean.
Right.
Like that's what puts him in that situation.
Yeah.
And then yeah.
You knew something had to happen, but the fact that it happens to the best and the favorite character is just sort of like, no, like when his car is upside down and it's zoomed in on his face and like his head is at a weird angle, I was like, oh, he's gonna be fine. And then it zooms out and there's fire, and I'm like, Sean, get him. And then it just explodes, and I was like, well, never mind.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I love that scene because it's a really good punch to the stomach, because technically that's the second death in a Fast and Furious movie.
Yeah, after
the
Jesse in the first one?
Jesse.
Yeah.
Yep.
In his Jetta. Jesse in the Jetta.
We also, yes. We also what happened to the people who killed Jesse.
Right.
And the response to this one is, I'm going to go make a deal with the Yakuza.
Yeah, like, I kind of like that Sean... I think he knows the stakes. I don't think he's that dumb. I don't think he's dumb in general, but I think he's kind of he's kind of brash, and I like.
Oh, I think the thing is if he runs, he's gonna keep running.
Yeah,
he can't stop running.
Well, and like I like that his answer to all of these problems is, I'm just gonna go to the source and solve the problem. And his source in this one is a Yakuza boss that he's just gonna be like, hey, let's chat.
Can we talk about the corridor of Yakuza guys?
Like that alleyway of Yakuza guys where it's just like they're all like literally on his footsteps, and I'm like, Sean, you gotta go. Sean, get out of there. You
got the dude spinning the chain.
And I love,
it's just like,
one of my favorite things about Japanese movies or anything is the Yakuza guy who has like kind of like put up pokey hair but has a headband. And it's like dyed bright. There was one of those guys in that scene too. I was like, yeah, that's my guy. Here he is. I got one of them in every movie.
Oh, but yes, he makes a deal with the uncle, and we get the one last race. I've already beat this worthless piece of trash.
Yeah.
Good. Then it should be easy.
Well, and I like when he goes to meet Sonny Chiba, DK is like, I'm gonna fight you. How dare you come here? And Sonny Chiba's like, he's not here for you. Sit down and shut up. It's just like, yeah, that's right. Like you're falling on the totem pole here, man. Like you're not gaining any curry here.
Yeah, and so yeah, they decided it's one more race, and DK chose the location, which is the mountain, which is apparently where he spent all of his time growing up.
Just the coolest, just fantastic.
But how are they going to race? They don't have any money. They give that to the Yakuza. They don't have any cars. The cops stole them all and put them in lockdown. What are they going to do, Boston?
What? I don't know. Maybe they'll rebuild a car with their dad's help. And it's just sort of like...
Specifically, they take the engine from Han's original car that Sean crashed. Right. Which I love that fact. They took Han's masterpiece and they stuck it in Sean's type of car. Yep. And they turned a Mustang into a drift racer.
It's so dumb in exactly the way I want these movies to be. Where it's like, now we have a Mustang in a drift race on a mountain in Japan drifting. It's like, yes, that's what I want. Now we have import versus muscle, sort of.
They built that car.
Yeah.
It's 100% a real Mustang that they 100% put a drift engine in and reworked the entire car to be drifting.
God, I love it.
They are mad scientists.
Yeah.
They are genuinely insane.
I love it.
But yeah, we get the Mustang versus the
initial D mountain race.
Yes. Yep. with all the phones that are magically hooked up so they can all see what everybody else can see at the same time.
Yeah, like they have somehow figured out Justin.tv live streaming before it happened.
Yep. That's a good race as well.
It's as neck and neck as they can make it for a drift race. Like, it's this back and forth. Mm-hmm. It's the dance they were trying to do during the drift dance scene, where it's this push and pull of this like fishtailing around mountain paths that they didn't manage to do before, and the city race was different in a different way.
That was just avoid the obstacles and hope you survive.
Yeah, like that was a heart pounding scene in a different way. But man, was this race really good, and just drifting is so cool. Yep.
And you get the obligatory wheels off the edges of the mountain shots and everything else as well. It's shot really well. Like, this is Justin Lin, he did the first one. He didn't do the second one. He directed the first one. Mm-hmm. He didn't direct the second one. He's this one, and he's all the way through till 6.
Yeah, he has a like an innate knowledge of how to make the action scenes in this movie look good. You know, it's like it's like when you watch a
Oh wait, I don't think he did 4. I should say that.
We don't want to put that on his shoulders. No, but like, 100%. You know, when you watch a really great martial arts movie and the camera is pulled back a little bit and it's just the two people on the screen and you can see the fighting happening, that's the equivalent here in Tokyo Drift, where it's like it's a nighttime scene that, number one, you can see, which I feel like happens in no movies anymore. But you know exactly what is happening and exactly where the cars are at every point. Like, I feel like not enough credit is given to like the stunt work and the cinematography and the directing, especially for these last 2 race scenes. They're really good and really readable.
Yeah. Obviously Sean wins, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Movie over. Except,
wait a minute. There's one last thing.
Question. Did you figure it out? Because you get the whole, he says Han was family thing. Yeah. Did you figure out whether it was Vin or Paul the second you saw the car?
No, because I thought it was one of 3 people. I thought it was Dom, Paul Walker, or Taj. And I was fairly sure it wasn't going to be Taj. And so I thought it was one of the 2 of them. And seeing Dom there, I was sort of like, all right, yeah, I missed you, buddy. Come on back in here. Yeah. Fun
fact, he agreed to this so he could get the rights to the Riddick franchise.
Oh, just so you
interesting.
Know. Plus, it's a good ending.
Yes, it is a very, very good ending.
Because the new DK didn't want to ride.
Exactly. Yeah. The best thing about that specific scene is it leaves it so ambiguous, because you, at this point in time, having seen 3 movies, you're just like, oh, cool. So he knew Han from way back when,
right?
Like before Fast 1, or maybe.
That's a really great line of like, he said Han was family, and it's just like, that's really good. Oh yeah, Han's dead, and then like it pulls Sean into like, all right, if someone is part of this family, then I at least. It is my responsibility to at least race them once.
Yes, yeah. And I also love the fact that he references the fact that he won the car off Han.
Right,
like the car he's driving there, he won it off Han.
Yeah, it's like, I didn't think Han liked muscle cars. They're like, he did when he was racing with me, and I was like, haha.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's so Tokyo, Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift,
yes.
The third in the Fast and Furious franchise.
Yes.
We know which side of the line you are on.
I am on the 2 thumbs up. Really great movie. Really great / dumb / probably doesn't get enough credit for being a genuinely good and well-directed movie. Like we were just talking about how well the last 2 races are done. But it's legitimately a well-directed, solid movie that the screenplay is fine, that I think... I can see why a lot of people might not like it, but I think the movie has something to it underneath. This is a dumb racing car movie.
Yes.
And
okay. Yeah. So now before we wrap this up, I have to do something here, which I'm hoping you'll be able to see, and I'm hoping the video viewers will be able to see.
Okay.
I have a screenshot from the Fast and the Furious 9 trailer.
Okay.
On my other monitor. Mm-hmm. I'm now going to attempt to show you my other monitor using the share screen feature on Skype.
Okay.
So
hopefully Skype won't break on us like it usually does.
One screenshot.
Okay. And this is the Fast and Furious trailer, and that appears to be Sean and another guy next to him that is maybe his race tech from the movie.
100%.
Oh,
and my favorite thing is
really
I caught the race tech guy the first time I saw the trailer.
Right.
I did not catch Sean because he leans out, he smiles, he leans back in. That's all you see of Sean in his entire trailer.
Oh no, that's really good. It is a real shame that Fast 9 got delayed
Pushed.
here. Yeah. Because that would have been a pretty perfect capstone to this series, but
yes.
Yeah.
So yes.
I really like Tokyo Drift, and of the three, this ekes out one from my favorite by just a little bit. Because I think 1 is still a really good movie. 2 is fine, but that's at the bottom of the list for now. There's something about 3 that really clicks with me, and I think it's, like I just said, I think it's a better movie than people give it credit for, but it's one of those movies that I love and I will defend. But if someone says, oh, I really don't like it, like I don't like anything about it, it's like, yeah, I get it.
You can completely understand why.
Like 100%, I understand it. It's not one of those movies where I'm like, well, actually, it's like, nah, man, I get it. It's cheesy, it's a little dumb, but it's a good movie.
It's the same with 2. I can completely understand people who adore the second one.
Yeah.
I don't like it, and that's fine. Yeah. I am entitled to my correct opinion, and you're entitled to your incorrect opinion.
Well, and I think the one thing that 3 really makes 2 worse, because I think the acting in 2 isn't nearly as good as 3, especially when Han shows up on the scene. It's like,
specifically, I think Han, DK, Little Bow Wow is okay.
He's fine,
but Han and DK and the Australian girl, they're really, really good.
Yeah. And Sean is fine. Sonny Chiba isn't in it enough, but he does the Christopher Walken role where he shows up and you're like, oh no, stuff's gonna happen. Oh boy. Yeah, I like Tokyo Drift a lot. 5 stars out of 5. Tokyo Drift is great.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah. And
unfortunately, we've got a massive downgrade to go.
Before we wrap up here, the next one is... What's the next one? Fast and Furious?
Yes, okay. Fast and Furious. Yeah. Not the Fast and Furious, just Fast and Furious.
Drop in the articles. Yes. I'm interested to watch that one because you have made your displeasure of it pretty well known.
Yep, and also for the record, Justin Lin did direct this one.
Oh, boy, bummer. Well, we can't win them all.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, so we'll have to see where that one, the at the time death knell of the series, how that. Oh
no, this one was the death knell of the series.
Yeah, that number 4 was like, all right, well, I guess that's all the ones we're gonna get. So we had a half of the movies were good, half of them were bad, but we'll see that during the next one. So.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.